You never think a family dinner will turn into a battleground, but that night sure did. My wife and I were just trying to enjoy a nice meal with the folks when my sister suddenly slammed her glass on the table and shouted, "You'll never be good enough for my brother." Now, I expected some tension. There usually is when Vanessa's around, but nothing like that. I chuckled awkwardly and said, "She's just trying to protect me." But my wife? She didn't flinch. She just gave a calm smile, reached into her purse, and pulled out a folded letter. "If that is the case," she said, "you are really going to appreciate what she sent to my lawyer." Vanessa's face lost all its color, and for a moment, nobody said a word. It felt like the whole house froze in time. Let me back up a bit. My name's Lucas, and I have been married to my wife, Rachel, for 3 years now. Like any couple, we have had our rough patches, but we always work through them. The real trouble, though, has always come from my sister, Vanessa. From the moment I proposed, she made it crystal clear that she did not think Rachel belonged in our family. It started small, snide remarks here and there, but over time, her bitterness just kept growing. At every family gathering, her icy glares and fake smiles became standard. That night, the house smelled amazing. Roast chicken, warm bread, the works. The table looked perfect, just the way Mom always liked it, with her usual Southern charm on full display. Everyone had just sat down, plates full, when Vanessa started poking. At first, it was normal stuff. Chit-chat about jobs, the news, some gossip about the neighbors. But then, she leaned back, took a sip of wine, and said, "So, Lucas, you ever wonder what your life would have been like if you had not rushed into marriage?" I laughed a little and said, "Nope, I think I made the right call, Vanessa." She narrowed her eyes and smirked. "I do not know. You had a lot of potential. Some people just hold you back." It went dead quiet after that. I felt Rachel stiffen beside me, but she kept her voice steady. "Vanessa," she said, "I know you want what is best for your brother. We all care about family. But maybe tonight, we could keep things respectful." That is when it happened. Vanessa slammed her wine glass so hard it rattled the silverware. "You will never be good enough for my brother," she barked. I reached out and tried to calm her. "Come on, Ness, that's enough." She jerked her arm away. "I am just looking out for you." I sighed, trying to keep the peace. "She is just looking out for me," I told Rachel, half-heartedly. But Rachel was done being polite. She took a breath, reached into her bag, and said, "Well then, Vanessa, let me share something with the group. You sent this to my lawyer." Everyone went still. Vanessa looked like she had seen a ghost. Rachel unfolded the paper slowly and held it up. "This is a letter you wrote last month," she said. "In it, you question whether I am a suitable wife for Lucas. You even suggested an investigation into my past." I stared at Vanessa. "Is this true?" I asked. She looked flustered. I thought maybe she had something to hide. "I was trying to protect you." Rachel kept going. "Not only that," she said, "you hired someone, a private investigator, to dig into my life." I could not believe it. "Vanessa," I said, "this is not just meddling. This is out of line." She looked around the table, hoping someone would take her side. But no one did. My parents just stared at their plates. Rachel stood up and placed the letter on the table. "I have nothing to hide," she said. "But what you did has consequences. I have already spoken to my lawyer about possibly filing a restraining order. I will not put up with this kind of attack on my privacy." Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. "Lucas, please. I was only trying to help." I shook my head. "No, Vanessa. You did this for yourself. And I think you need to leave." Vanessa jumped up so fast, her chair scraped loud across the wood floor. Without saying another word, she stormed out, slamming the front door behind her. The house went dead quiet. You could feel the tension hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. Lucas turned to me, eyes full of regret. "I am so sorry. I had no idea she would go that far." "I know," I said softly. "But we have to set some real boundaries now. This cannot happen again." He reached over and held my hand, giving it a light squeeze. "You are right," he said. That night, lying side by side in bed, he wrapped his arms around me. We were both still trying to process everything, the weight of what had just happened pressing heavy on our chests. But under all that tension, there was a strange sense of relief. At least now everything was out in the open. Over the next few days, Vanessa sent some half-hearted apologies. But I kept my distance. When someone breaks your trust like that, it is not something you patch up overnight. Family stuff can get messy. People get confused about loyalty and doing what is right. But I knew one thing for sure. If I did not stand up for myself, no one else was going to do it for me. Lucas and I were moving forward. Whatever came next, we were going to face it together, side by side. 3 weeks passed. No word from Vanessa. No texts. No calls. Just complete silence. I started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, she had finally realized she had gone too far. But something inside me did not trust the quiet. And I was right not to. It was a Friday afternoon when I came home from work and saw Lucas sitting on the front porch. He looked strange, like all the emotion had been drained out of him. Not mad, not sad. Just blank. What's going on? I asked, setting my bag down on the bench. He did not answer. Just handed me his phone. It was an email. From his boss. Lucas had been placed on administrative leave. Somebody had sent an anonymous tip to the Human Resources Department claiming he had faked paperwork at work. That kind of accusation is deadly serious in the world of finance. My stomach dropped. Are you kidding me? Who would even, Lucas cut me off. His voice was tired, like he had been up all night. You already know who. And he was right. I did. Later that night, Lucas got a call from an old friend of his from college, someone who had once dated Vanessa. The guy sounded nervous, barely above a whisper on the phone, but he told the truth. Vanessa had reached out to him 2 weeks earlier, digging for dirt on Lucas's past jobs, trying to see if there was anything shady she could use. He didn't help her, but clearly she had found someone who did. That was all the proof we needed. Vanessa was not done. Not even close. I started keeping track of everything: blocked numbers, weird messages, suspicious emails. I went back to my lawyer, who told me to gather as much evidence as I could before taking any legal steps. And then it got worse. Just 2 days later, Child Protective Services showed up at our door. Let me repeat that. We do not even have children. But someone had filed an anonymous complaint, saying we were fostering kids without a license and keeping unstable people in our home. It was ridiculous. The poor caseworker looked uncomfortable even being there. But they had to do their job. I invited them in, answered all their questions, showed them everything they asked for. They apologized on the way out and said it would be marked as a false report and closed immediately. But the damage was done. That night, Lucas sat on the edge of the bed, his eyes red. She is trying to tear us apart, he said. I nodded. We are not going to let her. That weekend, we decided to visit his parents. I just wanted to explain everything, face to face, and maybe try to make sense of it all. But when we walked into the kitchen, there she was, Vanessa, sitting at the table like she had done nothing wrong, sipping coffee and acting like life was just fine. She looked up at Lucas and smiled. You look tired, she said. Everything okay? Before Lucas could say anything, I stepped forward. You need help, I told her. This is your last warning. If you come after my job, my husband, or our home again, you are going to regret it. Her smile dropped. I do not even know what you were talking about. Lucas spoke next. Ness, we know. We are done pretending this is normal. Stay away from us. Right then, his mom walked into the room, confused. What's going on here? Vanessa stood up slowly. She tried to stay calm, but her fists were clenched at her sides. They are accusing me of things I did not do. I turned to his mother. Do you really believe all of this just happened by chance? The letter? The private investigator? His job? Child Protective Services. She looked at Vanessa for a long second, and then her face changed. Tell me the truth, she said. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears, and then she broke down. I just wanted to protect him, she cried. Lucas did not say a word. He just turned and walked out of the house. I followed him to the driveway, but he waved me off. I need a minute, he said. So I stood there, watching my husband walk away while his sister sobbed inside the house he grew up in. Something inside him had broken. Maybe for good. But Vanessa was not done yet. A few days later, I got something unexpected, a letter. Not an email. A physical letter in the mailbox. It was from Vanessa's attorney. She was suing me for defamation. The letter said I had embarrassed her in front of family, caused emotional distress, and purposely damaged her reputation with false accusations. I could not believe it. Lucas read it and laughed. She has completely lost it. But my lawyer was serious. She is trying to turn the story around, he said. She is making noise to confuse things. But in the end, this will blow up in her face. We started preparing right away. I gave my lawyer everything: screenshots, email chains, a statement from Lucas's friend, the visit from Child Protective Services. All of it, documented and organized. The truth was clear. But that did not make it any easier. I barely slept that week. Lucas did not either. Then one night, we were sitting on the couch watching a movie, trying to forget about all the madness. Lucas's phone buzzed. A text message. No name. No signature. Just one line. You should have picked someone better. That was it. But we knew exactly who it came from. We traced the number. It was a burner phone. Lucas's buddy from his tech job did a quick background check on that burner phone. Turns out it had been activated just a week earlier at a little phone shop about 5 miles from where Vanessa lives. We passed all the info to the police, everything we knew, everything we suspected. They said they would look into it. But Vanessa, she was always the careful type. Always stayed just shy of crossing a legal line. For a minute, though, it felt like the clouds might finally be parting. Lucas's company called. After reviewing everything, they cleared his name. No violations, no suspensions. His record was clean, and they told him he could come back to work. It was the first real bit of good news we'd had in a long time. But that peace didn't last. About 4 days after Lucas went back to the office, I got a call from the president of our neighborhood homeowners association. Sweet lady. Always waved when we saw her walking her dog. She said, "Hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. Someone submitted an anonymous complaint about your yard. Something about unapproved renovations and rodents." I actually laughed. I thought she was messing with me, but she was dead serious. Apparently, someone had filed a report saying we were doing illegal construction work in the backyard and attracting pests with improper garbage disposal. She said she had to come by and take a look, just to check the box. She came over, strolled around the yard, and shook her head. "Somebody's definitely trying to mess with you," she said. By that point, I was done playing the guessing game. I didn't need to say her name. It was obvious who was behind it. But the biggest blow came out of nowhere. Lucas's mom called me one afternoon. She sounded nervous, almost like she was afraid to talk over the phone. "Can I meet you somewhere?" she asked. "Just the two of us?" I met her at a little coffee shop close to her place. She looked pale and worn down, like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't even get a drink, just sat down and slid her phone across the table. "I shouldn't be showing you this," she said, "but..." Vanessa left her iPad at our house. It wasn't locked. I opened it, and, well, you should see for yourself. I hesitated, but I picked it up. The Notes app was open. What I saw made my heart stop. There were lists. Real, detailed lists. Titles like ways to ruin her reputation and where to post anonymous reviews. She had written fake diary entries. Drafted phony stories to share if questioned. Some said things like, "She manipulates Lucas emotionally," or "She only married him for the money." All of it was made up. She even had screenshots of my social media accounts, badly edited ones that made it look like I was stealing money from Lucas's accounts. So fake it was almost funny. Almost. I looked up at Lucas's mom. "Has she sent any of this to people?" She shook her head. "I don't know. But if she's writing it down, she's thinking about it." I asked if I could take pictures of what was on the iPad. She nodded. And then she said something that I'll never forget. "I love my daughter, but I'm scared of what she's turning into." We handed it all to my lawyer. He was furious. He told us this had gone way beyond a personal issue. It was starting to look like criminal harassment. We got a letter from a local reporter. He said he was reaching out to verify a tip before publishing. Apparently, he'd been told I was under investigation by the Internal Revenue Service for fraud. I nearly lost it right there. Lucas got on the phone and asked the reporter to meet us in person. We met him at a diner that weekend. Brought every bit of evidence with us. The letter from the dinner table, the visit from Child Protective Services, the fake lawsuit, the harassment, the fake screenshots. All of it. The reporter listened quietly while we laid it out. At the end, he nodded and said, "Thanks. That's what I needed. I'm not running the story." Turns out, Vanessa had tried to anonymously feed him the false tip about me. Lucky for us, he checked his facts first. That's when we realized this wasn't just about hurting me personally anymore. Vanessa was trying to ruin me publicly. She wanted my name dragged through the mud. And she still wasn't finished. About a week later, I opened the mail and found a letter from a private school across town. It was addressed to me, saying something along the lines of, "Thank you for your interest in employment. After reviewing your background, we've decided not to proceed." I had never applied for a job at that school. Someone used my name, my phone number, and an old copy of my resume. Then they submitted anonymous character references filled with made-up stories, rumors, lies, complaints Vanessa either started or planted. I broke down that night, sat on the edge of the bed and just cried. Lucas pulled me into his arms and kept whispering, "She's not going to win. I swear, she's not going to win." but I didn't feel strong anymore. Not like I used to. Until the next morning. That was when Lucas said, enough. He went to the police station and filed an official report. And right after that, we filed for a real restraining order. We hired a digital forensics expert to dig into everything: emails, fake accounts, phone records, you name it. It took a while, but slowly the pieces started to connect. It was like watching a puzzle take shape, and it all pointed in one direction. Then, something came out of left field. Lucas got a call, not from his attorney, and not from mine. It was Vanessa's ex-husband's lawyer. Turns out, Vanessa had gone through a rough divorce about 5 years back. Her ex had seen similar patterns of behavior back then, but at the time, he never had the hard proof to push back. Now that he had heard what she was doing to us, he wanted to help. He sent over a file full of messages, screenshots, voice recordings. One of them still gives me chills. It was Vanessa's voice, clear as day. If I can't control him, I'll destroy the one who can. That sealed it. With everything we had gathered and the new evidence from her ex, my lawyer said it was finally time. We had more than enough to move forward in court. The goal wasn't revenge, it was protection and closure. But Vanessa? She didn't see it coming. We filed everything. The police had their reports. My lawyer had his case. The court granted us a temporary restraining order right away and scheduled a hearing to make it permanent. Lucas's mom wrote a statement. So did Vanessa's ex. Our case file kept growing. When the court date came, Vanessa didn't show up. Her attorney tried to push it back, but the judge wasn't having it. Gave them one more week, no more. And during that week, I got another message. Blocked number. Just one sentence. You really want to do this to his family? That was the moment something in me flipped. I wasn't scared anymore. I was done being pushed around. When the hearing finally happened, it was nothing fancy. Just a plain courtroom. Vanessa walked in wearing a beige sweater, hair pulled back, face completely blank, like she was the victim in all this. She barely looked at me. Lucas sat beside me, jaw locked tight. The judge asked if we wanted to speak first. My lawyer gave me the nod, and I stood up and laid it all out. I spoke for over half an hour, calm and steady. I showed every piece of evidence, the forged letter she sent to my lawyer, the private investigator she hired behind our backs, the false report to Child Protective Services, the anonymous tip to Lucas's job, the fake job application that used my name and resume, the edited screenshots, the notes found on her iPad, the anonymous messages, the threats sent by burner phone. Her voice filled the courtroom. The silence that followed was so heavy you could hear people breathe. The judge stared straight at her. Her lawyer leaned over and whispered something in her ear. And just like that, I saw it. The mask she'd been wearing cracked. Her face shifted. Her eyes welled up. She looked over at me and whispered, I made mistakes. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But the judge didn't buy it. He granted the permanent restraining order on the spot. She was ordered to stay at least 500 feet away from me, Lucas, and our home. No contact by phone, text, email, or through any other person. And it didn't end there. Because of the fake complaints, the false reports, and her attempt to publicly smear me, we filed a civil case for damages. When she heard that, she went pale. After the hearing, she tried to talk to Lucas outside the courtroom. He walked right past her. She called out after him, Please. I'm your sister. He turned once. Just once. You were. That was the last time we saw her. But the truth is, this whole nightmare changed me too. At the beginning, I let things slide. I gave her too many passes. I told myself it was family, and that it wasn't worth the fight. But I was wrong. You teach people how to treat you. And when you let them cross the line once, they'll do it again and again. I should have stood my ground from the start. I should have guarded my peace earlier. I won't forget that lesson. 6 months later, the civil case wrapped up. She settled out of court quietly, privately. Her lawyer asked if we'd agree to keep things out of the media in exchange for a payout and a written apology. I turned down the apology. I didn't need her words. But we took the money. We donated half to a local organization that helps victims of domestic abuse. The other half went into savings for just in case. Lucas and I? We're still together. Stronger than ever. Because going through something like that, it either tears you apart or pulls you closer. She thought she could wreck me. But in the end, she lost everything.